Welcome to another video from PixLogik. I have GIMP open in front of me with the images I created in the last video, and I'm going to set up some sprite sheets. Firstly, I'm going to do the platforms, so I'm going to go to File, New, and this one is going to be 64 by 16. Go to Advanced Options and change the background color to transparency and OK that. I'm then gonna zoom in, gonna go to View, Show Grid and Snap to Grid. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is get the single block and I'm going to drag it on here. Then I'm going to get the left hand block, the mid block. I'm just making sure they're all in order. And lastly, the right hand. I'm going to export this as a platform sprite sheet. I did one earlier to test it, but I'm just going to overwrite that. Now, these are the settings I use. I have save resolution, save color values, and I set the compression level to 0, and that's it, and then just export. Next, we're going to create one for the column. This time it's going to be 16 wide, and it is going to be 48 in height. Again, transparent background. Okay, that, and we will zoom in. Show grid and snap to grid to the top of our column. Midsection and the bottom. There we go, and we will export that one. Same settings. And now we'll go into Unity and import these images. Okay, I've got Unity open. And what I want to do in my test folder is create a new folder, call it sprites, and we'll open that up, and we will drag our platform sprite in there. Now, the sprite mode is going to be multiple. It's going to be 16 pixels per unit. It's going to be point, and it's going to have no compression. I'm going to apply that. Open our sprite editor. Slice this by cell size, which is 16 by 16, and apply. And there we've got them all nicely sliced up there. We'll do the same for our column. Again, multiple. 16, point, and none. And again, nicely sliced up. Now that we've done that, I'm going to add in the rest of the sprites I did. So I'm going to drag in my hanging plant, plants, the ladders. Okay, so hanging plant, these are a single sprite mode. Again, 16 point, no compression, and apply that and do the same for the rest. There we go. Okay, I'm going to come out of there and I am going to create a new folder called Tile Maps. I'm going to open that up. Now I'm going to create a new rule tile. Call this one Platform. And we have to select a sprite for its default image. So I'm going to go into my sprites folder and I'll drag and drop. Now we have to populate this list with the sprites that will be used within this rule set. There we go, that's our 4 sprites. Now you will notice a grid system beside it. As this is our single block, nothing will ever join onto this one, so we can just go nope and put a cross in here. And the next one will be our left hand block, so a block can join it on the right hand side but nowhere else. Our middle block, another tile can join it on the left or the right, and the right hand block, a tile can only join that on the left hand side. Okay, now we'll do the same for our column. So we'll go back into Tile Maps, create a new rule tile, call it Column, and we will drag up our default. Our top sprite, nothing can be the top, the left or the right, but we can have a sprite below it. Mid one can have below or above, and the bottom sprite can only have from above. Okay, back into our Tile Maps, we'll open our tile palette. We will add these by just dragging them and dropping them. Now let's test our platform one. Let's just zoom in here. I'm going to take it below. So if we do our single block, it gives us the single one. If we add to the side, that's us. Okay, that's working fine, and we'll do the same with the column. There we go, that's working as intended. I'm going to delete these now. Now the platform tiles will go on the platform 1, but we need to set up another layer. So what I'm going to do, click on grid, and I'm going to add an empty child, and I'm going to call this between, and we have to add on the tile map. If we put the renderer, we automatically get the tile map. Now if we go to our palette, we now have a between and a platform 1. Now the sorting layer on this I'm going to set to between. I'm also going to need a foreground one, so again I'm going to create an empty child and call this foreground, and we will add the tile map renderer, and the sorting layer will be foreground. And we now have 3 in here. Let's drag the props below. There we go. So if I select my platform and let's just change this just now, top and bottom, and then I'm going to go to between. Just make sure you're in between here as well, and I'm going to add my column. Now if this is done right, my little character should run in front of that column. And it does. Okay, now I also want to add, let's go to sprites, and we want to add our hanging plant. So I'm going to drag this over and drop it in here, and it will ask us where we want to save it. So we'll just save it in tile map, and we'll call it hanging plant, and we'll do the same for plant. Now I want to put the hanging plant in the foreground, so make sure we're in the foreground here as well. I'm going to put that all the way down just to show you that our character should run behind that. There we go. And I'm going to take one of them off, and I will add another. I'll also add my plants in the foreground. Which should also be in front of my character. There we go. So we're slowly starting to decorate the level. There's one last image I need to drop in here, and that was the decoration block. So I'll drag that across, and it's a single 16 point and none, and I'll apply that. I want to drag that into our tile palette, and I'll call this deco block. I'm going to put this onto our platform 1. Now there we go. Lastly, we're going to change the ladders. So we're going to come out of here and go into our prefabs. I'm going to open my prefab and I'm going to change the sprite to this one. The width is going to be 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these ones. And then I can just duplicate off that one. I'm going to go back into my prefab. Because the box glider, which I have to make sure that is now the right size for the new. Okay, we've set up the glider. Now we seem to be getting a message here saying we have to set it up as a full rectangle, so we'll go back to and we'll change the mesh type here to full rectangle. We'll apply that. So if we go back into our prefab, there we go, we're no longer getting that error message. Our box glider is set up and we have our ladder platform which is across here, so we need to set our glider just outside. There we go. And what I want to do is platforms, and we'll zoom in here and we'll take that off just now, and I'm going to drop my level start in there just to test this platform. Okay, that works. Going to copy that. And I'm going to put it across here where change to global, take the snap to grid. I'm going to move it one across and I'm going to delete there. Let's move this one across. There we go, and take our take off global. There we go. Now that's us, and that means I can now take his collider out, his box collider, because we have more room. So let's just zoom in on him. We will click on Edit Collider, and let's move this out of the way first. Just make sure the offset is set back to 0, and we will set the element path 1 or 0 to 0, 0, 0. Let's just test that. I'm going to bring this video to close here. and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for joining me again. Goodbye.